Welcome to another edition of the Dementia Care Partner Talk Show. Now, here's dementia care expert Teepa Snow and your host, Greg Phelps.
Hello and welcome to the Dementia Care Partners podcast. My name is Greg Phelps. Joining me once again is dementia care expert Teepa Snow. Well, Teepa, here we are, another week older and still no cure for Alzheimer's or dementia. But I did learn something in a recent report. We love these reports. Loneliness increases your dementia risk by 50%. Now, I'm not going to question the methodology or anything else, but what has your experience been in dealing with loneliness?
Interesting. The idea of the difference being alone versus being lonely is one of the first things to pay attention to. So if somebody likes being alone, it doesn't reduce their risk of getting dementia. I mean, that's not like a guarantee or a not guarantee. So that loneliness is an emotional factor that we would want to add in. I do believe that feeling empty, feeling like you don't have relationships that you want is not a good place to be. So I also know that not practicing skills like communication, not practicing skills like responsive behaviors, not practicing motor skills that have you doing things with other people, I mean, they're all linked together. I'd be super cautious to say it's just about loneliness, though, because I could be in a group and I might be really connected, or I could be in a group and be really lonely because that group's not the right group for me. I mean, I'm present, but I'm not present. So it can get a little tricky here, and I would say for some individuals, I'm fine being alone or I'm fine being with a couple people, but I want to be in a crowd. So for me, if you put me in a crowd, I get irritable. I want to get out of here. I want to go home. I don't want to stay here. That's enough of this. I need 3 days to recover from being at an event that's really loud and really extended and like really intense. If that's me, then being alone is a better strategy for me than being overwhelmed.
As your care partner, I know that in a few years ago, you liked to control everything. You ran all the meetings, you took all the notes, you sent out all the. So, did some switch flip in your brain, or what's going on there? Because you were a control freak once upon a time.
Yeah, so that idea of I need to be in control of everything. And it turns out for some of us who sort of get to that place, it's like, well, I've done this long enough. I don't need to do this anymore. I'm going to go control something else. You know what I'm going to go control? I'm going to go control this. Because you know what I've decided? I don't need to be in control of everything. Some of us do have later in life awarenesses of like, I'm actually okay doing this and doing that and engaging over here. I can give people some information, see what they do with it. Because it's actually sort of interesting to watch what people decide to do with something you offer them and they ask for it and you offer it to them, see what happens. And then you can say, did you want any more or are you done? And they go, oh, well, I'll be back for some more. And it's like, well, come on back and we'll see what we can figure out. Some of us, I think, we had that opportunity. We did it and we did it well. And it's like, okay, well, sort of like when you learn to knit and you knit really well, it's like some people keep knitting, but some of us go, yeah, I'm sort of done with knitting right now. Now, if you need a little baby cap, I can make you one, but I have to have a reason for doing it. And I'll do it. And then the knitting needles go away again. I mean, but I haven't lost my skill. I just don't see a need for it.
So sometimes it may be a conscious decision. Other times it may be that is just suddenly off the radar.
Yeah. And so it gets tricky. I really, these studies or these reports or these things, I think I've watched enough of them over time to know sometimes people put you in a category. And it's like, but really, I, I don't know that that's accurate. That people decide you fit in the category because there's only A or B, and you have to be an A or B. And it's like, well, I don't think I'm A or B. And it's like, well, I've got to put you somewhere. Where do you want to be? And it's like, well, I don't want to be in either.
We've added a column C now, which is undecided. So, there is some relief for you, Teepa. Our
Oh,
study is going to be more
I don't know. There's
accurate.
probably a risk for dementia if you say undecided. No, we'll figure this out. We'll figure out a way to label you no matter what you do. So, that's the tricky part for me is like, let's be super careful about this stuff. And I'm not saying no, but there's so many variables that figure into this, Greg, that it's just like, let's be cautious because I just think people love to put labels on stuff. It's a scare tactic almost.
So
And it's a
when we
weapon.
read, yeah, they weaponize studies sometimes.
Yeah,
When we read these studies, we have
Mm.
to take it with a grain of salt
a
and
lot.
realize that it may only affect 10% of a particular population. So I don't know, can we put warning labels on studies? We put
I
warning
wish we
labels on
could,
everything
but I
else.
wish we could put them on like headlines too. It's like, read this with a salt shaker. Oh, read this. Go ahead and dump the salt on the ground before you start reading it because there's so much here that you have to sort through to get to the part that's actually good. It's like where people are like all about, "Oh, look, we can reduce Alzheimer's by 80%." It's like, well, wait. So what you're saying is do this, this, and this. That's actually not going to reduce Alzheimer's. It might buy you time before your first symptoms pop up, but I don't know that you're actually getting rid of Alzheimer's because that's not how it works.
Three
But
easy things, Deepa, three easy
yeah, I
things.
know. And if you've seen my AIs, recommending all kinds of crazy crap apparently. I'm like, sometimes people call. So I saw and you were saying that you could do this and this would work. That's great. Where do I find out about it? It's like, that's not me. That's AI. They're like, oh, that's disappointing.
So, Teepa, you just did say where do I find out about it? Where do I find out about something? Because there is so much information, especially on the interweb, where you can find anything to justify any position or to be against something or for something. So,
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have a thought and you're curious, I would say ask a couple questions. And, like we're curious too. We can go check things out. We have a couple people that work with us pretty closely, and some of them work in the team, and they're good at research. And they are real careful when they say, it's related, but it's not due to. So you see people who are describe themselves as lonely, they also may have some more brain changes. And many of them do, but many is 15%. Whereas people who describe themselves as not lonely, it's 10%. So actually, it's 5% more people. But it makes it sound like everybody who just, and it's like, well, it's 15%. I mean, let's get real about the numbers. So sometimes we can go, let's pause and think. And sometimes we'll say, good question. Here's the pro, here's the con. I mean, we try hard in our work. And I know there are other people out there as well that try hard to let's pause and let's get really curious and let's do a little more deeping if you want deep diving. Or let's take a step back and go, wait a minute. There's too many contradictory pieces here. Let's be real careful and thoughtful before you jump ahead here.
so before somebody rushes off in any particular direction, maybe they could get up with somebody and at least get some parameters that they could
Yeah.
run around in.
That if you want to look at more here, take a look at this and take a look at this so that you're looking at two sides of it, not just one. I did a webinar yesterday and somebody said, well, what about medications? And it's like, well, they have a place. They're just not the only thing we should be looking at. And it was sort of like they wanted to have, well, do you use medicines or do you not? And it's like, it all depends. I mean, there's not an absolute, and sometimes I would say not typically, but for me, when I get an infection and I think there's something that might help the infection, yeah, I'll take an antibiotic. Am I taking it every time this happens? No, because I never did when I was a kid. I mean, that's a habit. And I'll say that's my experience because, I wasn't brought up using antibiotics all the time. And I may have hearing loss in my ear too, a
Darn
perforated
it,
eardrum.
Teepa, I wanted
Who
an easy
knows?
answer.
There might be damage down the road. That's where it gets a little tricky because life happens. And I think sometimes, guys, life happens. Let's figure out it is what it is, where we are. Let's figure out what we're going to do from here.
Teepa, thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
You've been listening to the Dementia Care Partners podcast, brought to you by Positive Approach to Care. For more information, go to tipasnow.com.